Hey, Ishan.
Hi, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It started around 4:05, yeah? Okay, in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and I'll shoot out a poll. I think everyone who joins in should also get the poll as and when they join in. So let me just start that off. Um, right. So to begin, this is the poll I'd like to shoot out. Great. We're trying something new in this webinar. So we're going to start by asking you to put in a little effort and share a few words on uh, how you're currently managing your data and what your challenges are with your data, right? So the poll should be up. Ishan, if you can confirm that it's there. Ishan,
Yes,
Jeevan, Hadi.
I can see the poll.
Great. Uh, so y'all can just fill that in the meantime. Thanks, Jeevan. So we'll give this until 4:08. If everyone could just put in how they're currently managing data and what their key challenges are, that'd be great. Thank you. I see one person's responded. I think we're waiting for maybe two more. I can see Pulkit has joined. Pulkit, can you see the poll up on your screen? Great. Okay, so we'll wait for another 2 minutes and then um, I'll end the poll and I'd just like for y'all to also just share out loud what y'all have typed in. We'll wait another minute. And in the meantime, I can see that I think is it you, Jivan? You filled this in already, is it?
Sorry?
Have you responded to the poll?
No, not it.
Okay,
I'm
that's
right. Yeah.
okay. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll in another 30 seconds. I see one response in so far. Whoever that is, could you please go ahead and unmute and share with everyone else how you're currently managing your data and what your key challenges?
Yeah, sure. I think I was the person who responded.
Yeah, go ahead, Hadi.
Great. So we do have a few different forms of data, which would also eventually lead to some of the challenges that I would address later on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Currently, we do have data from Google Analytics, our marketing platforms, and we do have a helpline, right? So we do collect data from our helpline, which is stored in a very extensive sheet. The sheet has multiple internal sheets and different formulas to obviously integrate and facilitate data between each of them. So yeah, that sheet is one of our primary data sources. But now interpreting the data also does take a lot of time and effort from our side. So yeah, I would say that is one of the biggest challenge that we have. Having a unified platform to maybe store and visualize different kinds of data would be super helpful.
Understood. So just to reiterate, you have your helpline data and you have your Google Sheets
We
data. Is
have
that right?
marketing data, we
Sorry,
have
your Google Analytics
website
data.
analytics. Yeah,
Right. Marketing, website analytics, and your helpline data, right? And
yeah, I
the
would say
challenge
those are
here,
the main ones.
and the helpline data being the primary, and the challenge you're citing is being able to interpret this easily, right?
Mhm.
All
I would
right,
say so.
great. Thanks, Hadi. Would anyone else like to unmute and share how they're currently managing their data and any challenges that they're facing, their key challenges? Jivan, Pulkit. Sorry, I had to end the poll, so I'm just asking you to share on the call. All right. Maybe we'll just go ahead then. So sticking with Hadi's example, right? Here are some common challenges that we've come across, uh, which in the social impact space, right? And broadly, the theme being that nonprofits collect a lot of valuable data, but they struggle to make an effective use of it. Reasons for this are that often each program for an organization will have multiple different tools, like Hadi was describing to us, to capture data, right? So Google Analytics, Google Sheets, could be a number of other things, right? IVR information from helplines, etc. So multiple sources of data and all siloed and kept separate. The second thing being that making sense of this data, cleaning the data, analyzing it, consolidating it, that is often time consuming, manual, repetitive. And so that makes it difficult for a nonprofit to analyze and communicate their impact with data. It makes it difficult for a nonprofit to paint a holistic picture of their impact and their performance, right? And when solving for this, another problem that nonprofits in the social impact space will face is that you either have commercial solutions which don't cater to all of a nonprofit's needs, or you would end up trying to build a custom solution, which is often very expensive, time consuming, inefficient, right? And more so, other two challenges that nonprofits face when they're trying to solve for these primary challenges is that there's very little data engineering talent in the social impact space, and it becomes more and more expensive in terms of talent, technology, time, and effort to be able to provide access to data at every level of the organization. So this is the broad expanse of problems that we noticed and the challenges that we're trying to solve for with Dalgo. And this is broadly what Dalgo does, right? Or this is the solution that we've come up with. The platform is low code, low cost, and open source. And we'll come to why the open source aspect of it is important. And broadly, what it does, or the primary thing that Dalgo will do for you, is it will automate a lot of what is currently manual, right? It will automate, and it essentially primarily will save your time, and it will allow you to paint that holistic picture much more easily, right? How it does this is by pulling your data from various sources into a single location called a data warehouse. Then all of the interpretation that we might be doing manually, right? The cleaning, consolidation, etc. It's pre-computed in Dalgo, right? And so it's in such a way that you set it up, and then it's all made ready for you before you even uh, before you need it, right? And then moreover, Dalgo allows you to check for things like data quality. Often this is a concern, right? We're not able to trust our data. Dalgo also enables you to keep your data private and secure. All of your data is stored in the warehouse, which is owned by you. And in that sense, it is private. And all the data, while being pulled into your warehouse or while being pre-computed, which runs through Dalgo, is encrypted. Most importantly, I think we do know, since Dalgo is a product by Project Tech for Dev, and Project Tech for Dev has been working with nonprofits in India for a long time, that support is super important when it comes to tech for nonprofits. And we provide that via Discord, just like we do for Glyphic, which is our chatbot platform, which has been running for the past 3 years, working with over 100 nonprofits. And Dalgo also then enables you to pull all of this data, transform it, and then put it onto a visualization tool where you can understand your data through charts and graphs. And lastly, and I think most importantly, since engineering talent and generally tech capacity is low in the social impact space, what Dalgo does is provides you with a service which we maintain, we update, and you only need to use. So the pressure on the NGO to maintain the product, to keep it at pace with the latest updates, is not there, right? And that is, in a nutshell, is what the solution is and does. I'd like to now move into a few use cases of Dalgo. So the first one is with Sneha. Sneha Mumbai is an organization that works in health and nutrition. And this was broadly how they used to use data before, right? So this may kind of connect a bit to how y'all are currently running your data pipelines. So they use Comcare, which is a survey tool. They use that for data collection. They would then use Python scripts to transform that, to pull that data into a MySQL database. Following which they would use Talent to transform the data, and also SQL scripts to transform the data. Once data was transformed, which is to say it was cleaned, computed, etc., consolidated, it was then pushed to Tableau, which is a business intelligence or a visualization tool, so that their team could see charts and graphs on the data and learn from it, right? The problem with this is that it was, as you can see, right, they're using Python scripts, Talent, SQL, then pushing to Tableau. All of this was very effort intensive, resource intensive. With this system, they were only able to give the rest of their team access to monthly data, right? Which is quite a gap when you're working in nutrition and health, right? And access to data, or at least easy access to data, was limited to just a few people within the organization. When in fact, Sneha wanted to be able to make this data accessible, different data accessible to different people at different levels within the organization, right? Field team gets some information that informs their practice. So does the field coordinator about the field team, and then so does the M&E team about the overall programs that are working. And most importantly, this process was still manual. The M&E team still needed to run this, check this to make sure that the outputs were correct and useful. And so Sneha adopted Dalgo. In fact, they were one of our first organizations to adopt Dalgo. And as a result of this, now this is the way the data flowed. It went from Comcare through Dalgo into their data warehouse. And then again through Dalgo, it was transformed into the desired format and went to the data warehouse. And this was pushed into analysis and operational dashboards on Superset, which is the tool that Dalgo provides for visualization. As a result of this, they were able to now move from using 2 or 3 ways for ingesting and transforming data to just doing it on one unified location, which is Dalgo. From having 1 month's data, they now had live or one like T+1, which is to say yesterday's data is now available to the team today. They were also then able to give access to everyone on the team, give data access to everyone on the team. So the field team had dashboards, so did field coordinators, so did the M&E team, so did funders, so on and so forth. And what was quite important for them is now the M&E team no longer had to put in any manual effort, right? So the data was available immediately for donor reporting, and that saved a lot of time for the M&E team to actually start focusing on learning from the data, right? Instead of managing and preparing the data. And I will stop here in case there are any questions. Else we'll move to the next use case. All right, we'll go ahead then. So next, sorry, these are the dashboards that Sneha built out for their various teams. So you can see there are different dashboards for different programs. And then there are also different dashboards for different types of people within the organization, right? Going ahead to Shri. Shri works in sanitation and health rights, right? And Shri's data system looked a little bit like this. So they collected data using Kobo Toolbox. They would use R or Stata code to pull the data into Google Sheets, and then they would connect a Google Data Studio or a Looker Studio dashboard to the Google Sheet, right? What their main challenge was, one, the manual effort of doing this, right, which is Kobo to Google Sheet and then connecting that to Looker Studio. And second was that Google Sheets have a limit of 30K records, and they sometimes had more data than that, and so then that would become a problem for them. And so Shri adopted Dalgo to overcome these challenges. As a result, then this is what their data flow looked like. Data from Kobo Toolbox and some other data from Google Sheets was consolidated, first pulled into a warehouse using Dalgo, transformed using Dalgo, and then pushed to a Looker Studio dashboard. And as a result of this, now everything was automated, and they no longer needed to spend any manual time or effort on building their dashboards, pulling the data in, and they didn't have to face any of the issues of row limits, right? Because now all the Kobo Toolbox data that was earlier going to Google Sheets and then going to visualization, Kobo would go to warehouse, Google Sheets would go to warehouse, and then it would be merged in the warehouse, which does not have any such limits. And as a result of this, they were able to build out dashboards for their programs, which made data available to funders and the programs team easily, right? And with those two use cases, we'll now move into how Dalgo actually works, right? This is broadly a little diagram that should help you understand how the platform works, right? So an organization could use any source of data, right? So Dalgo caters to over 300 sources of data. A few popular ones used by nonprofits are listed here, right? Comcare, Avni, Google Sheets, Kobo, Glyphic, right? Even Google Analytics, Dalgo can pull data from Google Analytics and over 290 other sources of data, right? So step one of what Dalgo does is called ingestion, by which Dalgo will, you would configure the platform to inform it of your various sources of data, and you would give Dalgo permission to pull all of this data into your warehouse, right? Or your area of storage, right? So that's the first step, which we call ingestion. The second step is transformation, which is data cleaning, consolidation, analysis, like take out nulls, delete duplicate rows, create a calculated column, merge two data sets. All of that falls in transformation, right? So second thing Dalgo can do is be configured to transform the data. So assuming you're pulling Google Sheets data and IVR data into Dalgo, into your warehouse using Dalgo, then you would say merge this data or transform this data in such a way that I can draw inferences from it. And then the third thing you would do on Dalgo is to say, now do this ingestion and do this transformation every day at 3 p.m. or every week on Sundays at 9 p.m., right? And by doing that, then this will just keep on happening, right? On the schedule that you determine, and you no longer have to put manual effort into ingesting, transforming, computing your data, right? Dalgo will pull the data, transform the data, and give you ready to use tables in your warehouse. If you'd like, you can also use Superset to visualize the ready tables, right? So Dalgo provides Superset as a tool for visualization. If not, you could still use Dalgo for the first three things. And once you have the ready table, you could connect it to any visualization tool, right? So you could use Google Data Studio, Power BI, whatever you wanted. You could just connect your warehouse to that, just like we saw with Shri, where they connected their warehouse to Google Data Studio. Or if you have an app, you can push the data into your app. If you want to do more complicated things like machine learning, you can use this data for that as well. And that's broadly how the platform works. Here I'll stop in case there are any questions. After this, I'm going to go into a demo of the platform, which will help you understand how all of these things are done. So I'll wait for maybe 10 seconds if there are any questions, and then we can go ahead. Great. So we'll move ahead. This is a little video. I'll talk you through it. But broadly, what we're going to do is we're going to see what each of these functionalities of Dalgos looks like, right? So ingestion, transformation, orchestration, and visualization. So to begin with, when you open the platform, you'll come to the pipeline overview page, right? This is where you can see all of the automated flows that you have created, right? And so each green line represents a run of data, right? So pulling and transforming of data. And this is what it looks like once you've configured. Coming to ingestion, first you would set up your warehouse. Dalgo supports two kinds of warehouses. This is a Postgres warehouse. We also support BigQuery as a warehouse, right? So you would first set up your warehouse, then sources. You can see a bunch of sources are set up here. You wanted to add a new source. It's as simple as giving it a name. And then here you can see over 300 sources. Find the source. There's Google Analytics here. And then you have to give the relevant credentials. And then what you do is you connect your source to your warehouse. And by doing that, you create a connection. So here you can see that there's a Google Sheet that's selected. The Google Sheet has multiple tabs. So COVID-19 is a tab, diabetes is a tab, right? So similarly, if you have a form, like a Kobo form, and there are 20 forms within Kobo, each form will show you as a row. And then you just need to configure whether you want to sync the data for that or not. You would only sync what's useful to you. You don't need to sync everything. And then how you want to sync it, right? Overwrite, append, whatever it may be. Coming to transformation. So there are two ways Dalgo enables transformation, right? What we're going to go into first is the method of transformation for people who are offered for nonprofits who are less technical, right? So for nonprofits who are less technical, who don't know SQL, GitHub, we've built out a UI, which enables you to create transformations easily. This is what it looks like. So when I go to my workflow, you'll see I've got a transformation set up here, right? So I have a data set. I just need to click on it and I can see a preview of data. Now there's a lot of columns here. I want to drop a few columns so that I just work with what's relevant for me. You can see I've dropped a few columns there. And now I have a much cleaner data set. You look at the preview tab. You'll notice all of the fields are character varying or strings. So then I set them to the right type of field, right? So you'll see double precision, so now floats, etc. And then a bunch of other functions I've run. I've joined two tables. I've run group bys, and essentially created my final models using that. So that's the final table that I can get. So that's one way of running transformations. The second way is via GitHub. If you have technical skills, then you just need to use, essentially we use dbt for this, and then all of the code is written in SQL. So you can see over here, there are models, right? So all of these are just models that will create output tables the way I want them. Coming to the last part, which is the automation or the orchestration or the scheduling. You can see over here a few pipelines are being created. It's as simple as giving it a name, picking the connections that you had created, which you want to sync, selecting whether or not you want to transform data, and putting it on a schedule. Once this is done, it essentially creates all of these pipelines, right? So each orchestration creates a pipeline. So you can see visualization is embedded within the platform. There's a dashboard created here for the data that we had seen. And this is just for you on Dalgo to check, but your field team wouldn't even need to come to Dalgo. They would just open the dashboard directly, right? They would access Superset directly, your field team or your funders, or whoever it may be, right? This is just there for you to check if you're on the platform. And lastly, we have user management. This is, it essentially enables the platform to be collaborative. Different people may do different things. Some folks will just set up your warehouse. Some people will just come and view dashboards. Some will just do transformation. And so that enables you to control who does what. And with that, that covers the demo of the platform. We'll move ahead. Sorry. Yeah. So I take it there are no questions. Feel free to just kind of pop in or raise your hand if you have a question. This is broadly the engagement model that Dalgo works with. Dalgo is first a SaaS platform, right? Which means that there's an annual SaaS subscription fee, right? What that covers is all of the functionality you've seen on the platform, plus 5 hours of support per month via Discord. And that's the first thing. Secondly, Dalgo runs consulting, right? So consulting could be in two places that you avail consulting. First is during onboarding. If you don't have technical expertise, if you need help getting set up, then there would be consulting involved over there, right? In assessing your needs, building any connectors, which I'll get to later if you have questions around that, and setting up your transformation, visualization, and training you on the platform. And then second is, so assume you've been onboarded, you're using the platform, and then a lot has changed, right? Maybe you've got a lot more sources of data. You need significant changes to the way you're transforming and analyzing data. You may choose to avail consulting again. And again, that would be on a needs basis, right? Depending on those changes. So that's the engagement model. And this is the pricing. So if you just use Dalgo without visualization, Dalgo is charged at 2,04,000 rupees a year. If you use Dalgo with the visualization tool, Superset, then it's 2,52,000 rupees a year. And consulting is charged at rupees 2,500 per hour. And that's the Dalgo pricing. Lastly, this is a question we get often, right? Around what is the kind of capacity I need within my organization to adopt a tool like this? So it depends, first of all, on which method you intend to use for transformation, the UI method or the GitHub method, right? So this is the easier one. This is the one which requires some technical expertise. But all in all, you would need to have at least one resource, right? If you're using the GitHub method, then that resource would need to have Python, SQL, GitHub, and visualization skills. If you're using the UI method, they would still need to know a little bit about SQL or be working with data fairly often and be willing to upskill a little bit, right? Secondly, also based on the scale of your organization, you could choose to hire or not hire. And that would kind of broadly be the way it goes. If you do not hire, that means that you either have the skill set within your organization to run the platform, or that you would leverage consulting whenever you need it, right? So if you have fairly stable pipelines, that means that you would consult with us on onboarding. We would set up your pipelines, right? That you know what your requirements are for data transformation and ingestion. We set that up, and then that's just running for a year or two or a year. And then maybe you want some changes which are larger than what is covered by support. Then we would come in and consult with you again after a year and reset things up for you. So right, I think that's that. Coming next to what we have in store. Again, I'll stop for 10 seconds in case there are any questions on the things I've covered so far. Okay. So going to our product roadmap, right? So this quarter, we release role-based access control, which you just saw, right? It's the ability to change roles, make someone a guest, make someone a pipeline manager, or someone who's just in charge of the transformations or an account manager, right? The second thing we're going to be releasing this quarter is data statistics. So data statistics will look a little bit like this, right? So in that preview that you saw of data, you would now also be able to see data statistics. Every column will be named, and then for every column, you would be able to see, you know, how many distinct values does that column have, how many nulls are there in that, what is the data distribution, right? If it's timestamps, it'll look like this. If it's a number, it'll give you these basic stats. If it's a string, it'll show you the distribution of unique values of string, right? So this gives you a sense of kind of just overall a broad idea of your columns and their data. You could choose to then change the column type. You could choose to take care of the nulls, or you could spot some discrepancies in categorical variables, right, in your data. So that's the first feature release, which I think will be out in another 2 weeks or so. The second thing is a data quality dashboard. This will also be released, I think, in a month tops. And essentially, if you remember, I mentioned that using Dalgo, you can write tests for data quality, right? And then based on the tests you've written, this dashboard will tell you, hey, you have 9 tables of data. You've written tests to monitor 8 of those tables. 1 table you are not monitoring the data quality for, right? Of the 8 tables you're monitoring, 6 of those tables are failing, right? They're failing the tests, and 2 of those tables are passing the tests. And then it'll give you more details, right? If there are 37 total tests that you've run, 6 of them have failed, 5 of them are giving you warnings, 26 have passed. And it'll give you this history over time, so on and so forth, right? And what this will enable you to do is very quickly understand what is the quality of your data and give you an opportunity to look into things and fix things. So that's what we have coming up this quarter. Next quarter, we have qualitative data analysis. That's something we're already kind of working on, might be ready earlier. But what this will enable a nonprofit to do is if you have long strings of textual data, it will enable you to summarize. So for example, a use case we're working with is teachers giving feedback on training sessions, right? What Dalgo will be able to do is summarize that data to say that in location A, for this type of meeting, tell me what things went well and what things could be better. And it will generate a qualitative data output by analyzing all of the qualitative feedback that's been given for that session. So this should be out sometime soon in the coming quarter or maybe even in this quarter, depending on how quickly that goes. Second is log summarization. Currently, our logs are a little tough to read, which means it's a little technical. So what we're trying to do is make that super simple for you to understand so that our logs tell you in plain English, hey, here's where the problem is, and here's what you should probably look into. We're also thinking of developing a notification system for Dalgo so that you don't have to keep coming to the platform and searching for things. You should get a notification in your email and on the platform as well. There should be a little bell icon that tells you what's happening and what needs to be looked into. And lastly, LLM-enabled data exploration. This could vary the output of this, but ideas around this are, can we enable you to talk to your data, get suggestions for how you should analyze your data, auto-generate results for your data, things like this, right? So That's another feature we'll be trying to make some progress on in the following quarter. If you want to learn more, I will share this deck with you. You can give our roadmap a look. The link to the GitHub roadmap is here. Right, and I think that's almost everything. Last thing to mention, and again, I'll just throw up a poll and I hope everyone will just put a response in. This is a much easier one. We are currently running an offer. The offer comprises 1 month of free trial on the platform and 10 hours of free consulting. And the broad idea is within those 10 hours and that 1 month, we can take you from you having disparate data sources to bringing some of that data together and visualizing it and learning something from it, right? And so if that would interest you, then do let us know. I am launching this poll now. Just answer yes if you'd like to avail this, right? Someone from our consulting team, Sid, will probably reach out to you, understand how you're collecting data, what you're doing with your data, what you need. And then we'll go from there, get you up and running to a visualization. I'll leave this up for another 10 seconds. I can see 2 responses so far. I think I'm expecting at least a third. Just quickly look at the participant names. I can see 3 responses. I see Jeevan, Hadi, Ajaruddin, Pulkit. Great. I'll end the poll then. Thank you, everyone. And the last thing to mention is that Tech for Dev does focus on data. That's why we have Dalgo, and that's why we've also launched a program called the Data Catalyst program. This ran last year with 12 nonprofits, Educate Girls, Sneha, the Education Foundation, the Apprentice Project, some Uninhibited. These are the ones I can remember, Ummeed. We're all part of that cohort. And the next cohort is going to start in end of June. And applications for this program are open now. So if you want to level up on your data game, right, as a nonprofit, then this is highly advisable. Dasra, Goalkeep, Tech for Dev are all running this together with help from the agency fund. And if you want to know more about this or apply, again, you'll get details on this in the email following this webinar. And that's it from me. If anyone has any questions, please go ahead. I think I've been speaking for quite a while now. Yeah. I'll stop sharing my screen. Let's see something in the chat. Hadi, if you want to register for the workshop, let me put the links here also. So the workshop, it's actually a residential program, which is to say that it's the Data Catalyst program runs in such a way that it will be you'll be selected after applying. Then we'll work with you for a month. You'll get a one-on-one, you get mentorship from someone. Then we all meet in person somewhere, right? So there's 2.5 days we spend in person. And then 3 months of, again, one-on-one mentorship remote. And then again, we meet in person to close. So that's the way the program works. And I will ping the link to you in the email that follows this webinar. Let me also share this with you. Yeah, I'm also putting the link in the chat. Anything else? Anyone else? All right, great. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and hope to speak with you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.